And great. Hi, welcome to Think Beyond the Keys. I'm Elvina Fredson-Cole, bringing you this week's real estate topic. And I am excited because this week we're going to be speaking about escrow. Now, escrow, you might hear it in two different ways. One of it that some people see every day, every month in their statement, an escrow account. And that is where the servicer of your loan takes some amount from your monthly payment and put into a separate account. So at the end of the year, they can pay taxes and insurance. But this is a different escrow we're going to be speaking about. And I'm excited to have Michelle Manaois and
Yes.
from Chicago Title. And she's going to tell us all about the escrow, what is escrow, and how the process and everything. And I'm excited because she has been in the business for 23 years now, right, Michelle?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and so
That is.
you a lot of experience. And so I'm just going to let you talk and I'm just going to let you kick it off. What is escrow?
So escrow, well, our main goal is our key part in the whole transaction is that we are the neutral party between buyer, seller, lender, real estate agents. So you have the listing side and also the selling side. And in regards to that, our role is that we are the neutral party that will actually make everything from beginning to end, and also we'll take care of all the recording and making sure that the funds are in escrow and disperse it once we are on record and going to the right places after closing. So in the very beginning, it's really important that when you get into a contract, let's say you have a listing that you had and you just opened the escrow and you got a buyer and it's in contract, the best practice is always just share that information and provide me the buyer's contact information.
Mm-hmm.
And that way we can always just get in touch with the buyer and give them a call and introduce myself, let them
Mm-hmm.
know that you're in, congratulations that you're in contract. Now, our goal is to make sure that your deposit makes it to escrow securely, and also make sure that we don't get any kind of interception from any fraudsters, because wire fraud is on a rise.
Yeah.
And it's very important that they verify the information before they wire.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases, you can't just always trust an email that you receive. So it's always good to verify the information, especially if it's an email that you don't recognize who it is. So
Mm-hmm.
it's always good to have an actual person that you can talk to and verify that information.
Yeah, and before you go into wire fraud, let me just bring the audience up to date for buyers who don't know what we're talking about.
Mhm.
When you make an offer, you see a home you like, and you make an offer. You said, "Yes, I like that," and then your realtor put together all the package and the offer and send it to the seller. Now, depending on whether or not the seller accepts your offer, maybe there may be a counter
Mhm.
offer. But at the end of the day, when the seller accepts your offer, and then now you are in contract, and part of your your side of the contract is you're putting down an what we call an earnest money deposit, right? And that's
Yes,
for the
that's correct.
down payment. It can be as small as 3%. Well, it depends because the market dictates that, and also your realtor we speak about and what you're able to put down. And then you said, okay, I am telling this seller I am serious. I want their home. So right now, this is my earnest money deposit. It may be, a small amount of 3%, however it is, that I am ready to go into contract. So that's what Michelle is speaking about, that Chicago Title in this case is going to be the middle person, the neutral person who's going to make sure everyone, depending what's in the contract, everyone does their part.
Mhm.
So now you have that said, this is my earnest money deposit and everything. And and then I'm interested because wire fraud is everything is done now electronically. That's the
Yes.
thing. And so when we send it in and said, okay, now we need you to send the money or down payment or whatever it is, everything is done electronically, especially during COVID-19, right? There's
Right.
very few people who actually write checks or, or go deliver it to your company. So everything is done through wire transfer. And so, Michelle, for those people listening, the buyers listening, and I'm just going to give you a heads up. We're going to speak on the buyer's side because there's so much information. And Michelle has agreed to come back next week to speak on the seller's side. So thank you so much, for
My
doing that.
pleasure. Yes.
Thank you so much. So for the buyer, how would they know? How can they avoid? You just take me through what you do and some of the
Yeah.
things you do.
One thing is if for a buyer, and it's always good. Let's just say we just got in contract, and I will always ask the real estate agent, provide me the phone number. I'd like to have
Mm-hmm.
a dialogue with the buyer so that they know that who I am and why I'm sending them an email. And especially nowadays, you get so many emails and you can't just believe what the email says. So at this point, that's when I talk to them and I just let them know that I'm going to be communicating with them and securing, making sure that we communicate in a secure portal. And and there's other ways that I can actually, I am won't be going in details on how we do the way, but in a way that when he receives the email, I like to actually have him read it to me. Uh, the buyer always reads it to me, and I always tell them, I want you to know that once I give you this wire instructions, you may be on a vacation or you may go somewhere else, but this wire instruction is going to be the only, you only receive it one time from me, and at the very end, you will use the same wire instructions when you bring in your closing funds. And the reason for that is we're trying to avoid any risk from any kind of fraudsters to try and intercept. And in a special case, and I'll give you a scenario, I actually had a buyer that in the very beginning, it was good that he was very communicative because communication is a key for our business. If we don't talk to anybody, it could all fall apart, right? And I'm just really glad that he was able to read the email and share the information. Why is it that I already talked to Michelle and I got this wire instructions, but then she sent me a different email and saying that their wire instructions is totally different. And at that time, they he picked up the phone, called me, and we were able to make sure that he used the original information that I have provided him. And so it's always good, just making sure that if it's an email that looks like my email asking for a different wire instructions, it's not it's not me. I always tell them, I want to make sure that you understand that wire fraud is on the rise. And I have to tell you that everyone will try to intercept it. And so if there's one thing, there's social media that sometimes they watch what you do, or, you post it online saying, oh, here's the new home that I'm going to be in escrow closing in 10 days, right?
Oh
And
boy.
you put it on there and somebody will try to hack you. I mean,
Wow.
these are experts that's trying to do a way to find a quick way to make money, and a lot of people have lost thousands of dollars
Mhm.
during an escrow transaction. So that's why it's always important that we always communicate on how important it is that they only use the wire instructions that we provide them from the very original meeting,
Mhm.
and always use that. And there may be a time that the client will say, oh, I'm going on vacation and I can't find anything, but they
Mhm.
can always find that email, and it may be a hassle, but
Mhm.
remember, it's actually a protection for you. We want to make sure that the funds makes it to your closing, because
Yes.
it's the only way that we can close your transaction. So
Yeah, that's a scary part, that someone would wire funds and thinking that they're wiring it to the escrow company, and someone is actually someone that intercepts, and that calls for everyone to be vigilant. That
yes.
when you're wiring, when you receive a wiring, it's the first instruction. If there's anything that's different, you always call and said, hey, I'm verifying that this is what it is and I'm sending it, if you have to. So what are the other red flags that buyers should be aware of during the escrow closing? Because escrow can take between, how long normally does escrow take?
It depends on what you put on the contract. So if you can go from 21 days to 45 days,
Mhm.
depending on whether if you have a loan or if it's all cash. And it's really based on what they negotiated and what the realtor has provided them as a guide.
Mhm.
So, and there's no rule, but anybody can do anything what they want for negotiation as long as they can back it up, right?
Yeah.
And then,
And
but
for yeah, for buyers, there's a lot of things in the contract that we use to negotiate,
right,
and one of them are contingencies, right? That
yes,
there are different contingencies, like um, oh my god, I just got through a blank.
appraisal,
Appraisal contingency, inspection contingency,
inspections.
and then loan contingency and all that kind of stuff. And then you as a title company, you're making sure that, okay, you said that inspection contingency is 10 days or 12 days. How we want to make sure that everyone does their part. Am
Mm-hmm.
I correct? To
Yes,
make sure that the process goes smoothly and everyone does that. What are
yes.
other things that buyers should, you think that it will make a smooth transaction if buyers do their own part? What are
Uh,
some of the things that you've seen?
One thing too is that, besides that, when you're buying a home, you already have an agent that you have a lender that you chose, right, to get pre-approved with. And one thing that you may want to consider is also start thinking on how you want to hold title. Because title, the vesting is going to be a question that's going to be asked prior to, some lenders require prior to docs, and some they require prior to signing. So it's really up to which lender we're working with, but it's always good to be ready. And the other thing too is that if the buyer is on a schedule to go on any business trip, you might want to consider to
Mhm.
see whether a lender may be able to use a power of attorney, or if you are going on vacation. So depending on where you are, you are going, that it's going to be harder for uh, signing the loan documents. So pre-planning is always good because some lenders will not allow power of attorney. So it's always a good thing to discuss with their loan officer.
Mhm.
And the other thing too that I would like as an advice for a buyer is always just listen to the loan officer. If they tell you this is the account, because I've seen this happen, and it also creates a huge issue at time of funding when they use the deposit money that they're closing, their closing funds is actually deposited from another account that's not verified. So it's good to always just use an account that's already verified. If your loan officer says, no, use this bank that we have already, you told me from the very beginning, stick with that.
Mhm.
And if there's any gift funds, gift funds meaning if you have a third party who would like to give you a gift towards your closing, then you need to disclose it, because at the end of it, everything has to be verified, and also escrow will require third-party instructions. So we will need to be in contact with the third party so that they understand that should this escrow close or cancel, and if we need to return the money, the gift money to at time of the cancellation, we're not going to give it back to the gifter. We're only going to give it to the actual principal, which is the buyer.
Oh,
And and this is just just another thing, because sometimes it does pop up, and I've seen it happen where, oh, I don't have their email address because we need to get them to sign off. And it's easy to find email address now. For a lot of people have email address now, and so we can always just docu-sign it and just approve it, or we can always just email or fax. So,
mhm.
and
So
the other thing too is, as long as they have a printer, they can print it, take a picture, and text it, right? So
there you
it's
go.
a
Things are
whole new
so,
technology.
I know things are so easy now. And
Yeah.
so basically that what you have disclosed in the beginning. A buyer discloses that this is the account, or these are the stocks that I'm going to liquidate for my down payment or for whatever it is. This is the account my earnest money deposit is going to come from, and then this person is going to give me a gift. Everything should be disclosed at the beginning, and then
Yes.
everything should stay the same. And
Yes.
you don't just come with another surprise thing like right in the middle of escrow and like, okay, well, what account is this? Where is it coming
Yes.
from?
Yes. And also, sometimes, what just going back on the vesting, because, there may be a little bit of sensitivity, because if you're in the middle of a divorce, or if you're single or unmarried, or if you're married, there may be another person that we will need to find to sign before we can close, because some lenders do require an interspousal deed for state of California. So
Yeah.
it there's no such rule where this is all what we're going to do, but
Mhm.
every scenario is is different.
Yeah.
So that's one fun thing about escrow. Not that you can't say that all escrows are the same.
Yeah.
Everything is different, and that's why I love about it. Every day we get to do something new for our
Yeah.
clients.
And it's also interesting because each county have like different little nuances and different stuff. Like if you're watching this from a different state, even your county may be different from another county in your state.
Yes.
And that brings me to the next question. Like um, escrow fees are one of the fees that either buyer or seller has to pay. So who pays for escrow
Yeah.
fees normally?
In Santa Clara County, it is customary that the seller pays for title and escrow.
Mm-hmm.
And should you go to Alameda County,
Mm-hmm.
that is a buyer pay. So
Mm-hmm.
buyer will pay for the title and escrow, which means that they can choose any title company they want. So, just always keep in mind Chicago title.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So,
So that is something that people should know, that escrow fees, depending on the county, and that is something that your realtor can already like explain to you and already prep you at the
yes.
beginning of the process, because that's what we do. We go through the whole process with our buyers or sellers, and so they're not taken by surprise. They know exactly what they need to do, And you mentioned something that I want to come back to, because
Hmm.
you said that they can just like print something, take a picture. What has changed during COVID? What have you done differently as far as trying to move with the system, trying to go with because we're all sheltering in place. People don't go to the office anymore. I know Chicago title, like where we are in Santa Clara, we're still sheltering in place.
Right.
And so a lot of things are done electronically. So how was that changed for the escrow process?
Well, I can't go in so much in depth about it, but we have our company is so technology driven that we have this great system that we can communicate with our buyer, our seller, all listing agents, selling agents, and also the lender via secured site, and they are able to provide information there where we're just not just putting all their personal information on a regular email.
Mhm.
And it's something that's I would feel good if I was the consumer, because I know that my information is protected.
Yeah.
It will not be out there where it's just a regular email that anybody can go through. So once the buyer or seller puts in any information, it
Mhm.
goes directly to our portal, and it's not shared, or it doesn't go through a regular email that can get hacked. So,
That is awesome.
and I
And
have more stuff for you to tell you about it once we have something really exciting coming up, that can't go until it's all done. But it's a great technology. I'm really blessed to be working for a great technology driven company. So it's
yeah,
really,
and you guys have all these little gadgets and make things easier for us to do the work, and
oh
that's
yeah.
kind of really cool. And I like that Chicago title really is, blazing the trail, I should say.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
We have the best support. That's one thing I know for
Mhm.
sure. So,
Yeah.
and especially working with remote, and I know that every consumers also are working remote. So you just got to be diligent when you're getting your email. And it's really, I think the best way right now is even picking up the phone to see who you're really talking to via email, right?
Yeah.
Just being available by phone is also an, an added value for
Mhm.
each of us,
Yes, yes, it is. Yes. Thank you, Michelle. I know, for just chatting with me. And I know this week is all about buyers. And so before we wrap it up, I just want to ask what else if there's any other red flags that comes to your mind, or any stories or anything that came to your mind that a buyer can learn from?
One thing is just be very diligent, because there is a transaction that our deposit was almost intercepted by a fraudster.
Mm-hmm.
And, instead of wiring it to Chicago title, this fraudster added Chicago title of America.
Wow.
And just make sure that when you're getting an email, because the email could come from me, or it make it look like that it's my email address or the real estate agent's email address, and all they need is to add another character there and especially with the way this business is, you're under pressure. You want to make sure that your deposit makes it on time, and you try to act on it twice, so fast that you don't verify the information. So it's always verify, make sure that give your escrow officer a call, be in, communication, give us a call. And I'm always available if you ever need to talk or any kind of information, but it's the best way is really communication,
Okay.
and just be diligent, inquire before you wire. So,
Okay, great. Thank you,
okay.
Michelle, for taking the time. And I look forward to speaking with you and chatting with you next week on the seller side, on what they should expect and everything on that side. But before I
Yes,
go, I just want to tell people out there, buyers, be aware of wire fraud. It is a really great way to do business, but we have to be vigilant. And I should say, Michelle, you correct me. There's not a lot of that you've come across because of the system that has been put in place.
right.
So it's just to be a little bit extra cautious.
Yeah,
Also, when you're in escrow, make sure that there are a lot of things that you shouldn't do to make sure everything goes smoothly. Don't go and start spending and buying the furniture for that new house. Open up new credit cards, sign, yeah, do you have to say that?
uh, don't go buying, if you go on vacation and somehow you decide to go buy a timeshare, because that had happened to me. So be careful with
Wow.
that.
Just be careful with spending. Just wait
Yeah,
until everything closes, and then you can go buy the furniture. You can go buy different things. You can go on vacation then. It's just like, it's easier to just make sure your finances is exactly what it is, the way when you were applying for the loan, because they are going to check. And one
right.
thing that I know lenders are checking right before you close, they are going to re-verify that you are still working.
Yes,
They are going to look through your finances and make sure everything is in order before you close. So you don't want to go to that right at that time, and then they will say, no, we can't do it. That will be a huge disappointment. One quick thing I forgot to mention: how about signing of the documents? How is that done during COVID-19?
Uh, right now, I have a great team of signing agents that's actually going out
Mm-hmm.
and meeting with clients, and they have been very creative with the way they are doing signings.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some people, we leave it up to the buyer's choice. So depending on everyone's comfort zone. So there are some people that's letting it, you can go ahead and sign in front of your yard or your backyard, or meeting at a park, and they are still doing the social distance while they're doing that. And also, one recommendation is always just bring your own pen. and
Yes.
and it's one thing is just being making sure that they wear their mask, and if they want to wear it.
I think I lost you. I think I lost you there. Michelle, I lost you. Okay, I'm just going to round up. Okay, I lost you
Okay.
there for a minute. Yes. You
Yeah.
said wear their mask.
They wear their mask and they also wear their gloves.
Okay. Cool. That is cool.
Yeah.
Well,
The
thank you,
personal
Michelle.
protective equipment. So
Yes, yes, yeah, because we have to do that too as realtors when we go out. Make sure there's
yes,
social distance. So it's great to see that the real estate process hasn't come to a standstill. It's still moving, everything, and sales are moving. It's just nothing came to a
it is.
standstill because most of our stuff are already electronic. So it was like a smooth process just to continue it. So that's really
Yes.
great. Thank you, Michelle. And if anyone has questions, please send it to me, and I'll put Michelle's contact information right down there in the comments. But let me know whatever question, because she'll be here again next week, speaking on the seller side of it, and she'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. So thank you, Michelle, and thank
Thank
you
you.
guys for listening. And I look forward to chatting with you again next week. Take care.
Okay. Thank you for having
Welcome.
me and be well.
Yeah,
Take
take
care.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mhm.